He wakes up in total blackness. No light, no space. His forehead bumps wood. His arms can't stretch more than a few inches. A box. His brain needs a second to accept it. Then the truth hits. A coffin. He lies still. The air tastes heavy, used. He forces slow breaths. Panic will burn oxygen faster. His right hand slides along his side and touches something cold. A phone. The screen flickers to life. A timer blinks. 240 minutes. Under it, battery. 7%. Messages appear. No name, no number. Just plain text. 4 forensic accountants buried before you. Juniper Wolf, 153 minutes. Cade Brenneman, 181 minutes. Risa Tamblin, 147 minutes. Osric Veld, 166 minutes. All suffocated claiming innocence. Your turn, Dalton Kress. Case number 4719. Figure out what you did wrong. Dalton stares at the screen. Case 4719. He knows it. 5 years ago. The Vex case. A pharmaceutical audit that made headlines. He was the lead forensic accountant. His report and his testimony put CFO Landry Vex behind bars. 18 years for embezzling $43 million. He remembers the courtroom. The evidence looked airtight. He types, "I didn't do anything wrong." The evidence was solid. A reply comes instantly. "Then you die like the others. But I'll give you a chance they didn't get. Your former colleague Thea Grantwood is investigating. She doesn't know you're missing yet. You can contact her. Each text costs 1% battery. Each call, 5% per minute. Choose wisely." Dalton's chest tightens. 7%. That's 7 texts. Or 1 minute and 20 seconds of talking. Not both. He needs to think. He presses against the lid. It doesn't move. He pushes harder until his fingers bleed. Nothing. Metal reinforcement. Whoever did this planned well. He tries to listen. There's pressure in his ears. He can feel the weight of dirt above him. 6 feet, maybe more. He looks at the timer again. 236 minutes left. 4 minutes gone already. He forces his mind into order. What's the motive? Why him? Why now? The message listed 4 names. 4 forensic accountants, all dead. All connected to the same case. The kidnapper is recreating something. Teaching him a lesson? Avenging someone? He can't guess motives yet. He needs facts. He remembers the audit. 43 million moved through offshore accounts. 18 transfers, each with Vex's digital signature. No irregular timestamps. No mismatched authorizations. Everything lined up perfectly. But what if someone forged those signatures? Backdated them? He types nothing yet. Every word costs oxygen. The coffin air already feels thinner. His tongue sticks to the roof of his mouth. He forces slow breaths again. His rational mind kicks in. He once read an article. A human in a sealed coffin has about 5 to 6 hours of air. Less if they panic. He's already used nearly 10 minutes. He counts breaths. 1, 2, hold, 3. He imagines Thea's face at her desk, reading his messages, realizing what's happening. She's sharp, fast, methodical. If anyone can trace his signal, it's her. But what should he tell her? Not a plea for help. She'd waste time calling or sending police to random places. He needs to point her to the truth behind Case 4719. He thinks back again to that week 5 years ago. He had full access to the company's financial systems. So did several others. The CFO, 2 junior accountants, and the IT administrator. What was his name? He squeezes his eyes shut, digging for it. Something with an M. Mason? Marcus? No, Mather. Quint Mather. The young IT guy who granted Dalton system access, guided him through the digital logs, and validated each signature. A flash of memory hits. Quint smiling, confident, saying, "The system logs are clean." "Sir." He'd seem trustworthy. Too smooth, maybe. Dalton opens his eyes. Sweat trickles down his temple. The temperature inside the box is climbing. He looks at the phone again. 7% battery. Still full. Still waiting. His thumb hovers over the screen. Should he text Thea now? Or wait until he's sure? He knows one thing. He can't waste power explaining he's buried. She'll figure that out once she traces the message. His text has to trigger her mind the right way. Something that makes her reopen the old evidence. He starts shaping it in his head. Case 4719. Vex innocent. Recheck transaction logs. Wire transfers. Wrong dates. He memorizes the line. That's the first text. It's all he can afford right now. He sets the phone aside for a second and runs his fingers along the coffin wall. The wood feels solid, smooth, polished. Whoever built this wasn't improvising. He tries knocking again. Dull sound, no echo. That means packed soil, deep burial. He feels the tightness in his chest again. He lets out a slow breath. Talking, moving, panicking. All of it eats oxygen. He closes his eyes. He can almost hear the courtroom again. The prosecutor's voice calling his analysis flawless. The judge thanking him for his precision. He'd felt proud then. certain that facts couldn't lie, but someone made facts lie. Someone built a digital cage perfect enough to fool 5 experts. And now, 5 years later, those experts were being buried one by one. Dalton is the 5th. He feels the weight of that realization settle in his lungs heavier than the dirt above. He thinks again of Thea. She'll see the message soon. She'll look into the logs. Maybe she'll see what he missed. The falsified timestamps, the forged authorizations. Maybe she'll find Quint Mather's name in the access history. He needs to believe that. It's the only thing keeping him from breaking down. He glances at the phone again. The light is dimmer now. 234 minutes left. He takes one more breath, slow and controlled. Then he unlocks the phone. His thumbs move carefully. Case 4719. Vex innocent. Check February 2019 wire transfers. Authorization codes forged. He hits send. The phone screen dims again. Battery drops from 7 to 6%. He stares at that number. Each percent now feels like a heartbeat. He puts the phone against his chest and closes his eyes. If Thea gets it, maybe she'll act in time. Maybe she'll realize what this really is before his timer runs out. He tells himself not to think about the heir, not to think about the other 4 names, but he can't help it. Juniper Wolf, Cade Brenneman, Risa Tamblyn, Osric Veld, and each of them buried. Each timer stopped before 2 hours. He's got just under 4 left. Dalton Kress breathes slowly, counting each inhale. Somewhere above him, the world moves on. Somewhere, his message is flying through a cell tower. He waits for a reply, deep under 6 feet of silence, and the timer keeps ticking down. The phone buzzes faintly in the dark. The vibration against his ribs jolts him awake. He fumbles for it, heart hammering. One new message, from Thea Dalton. Where are you? Your assistant just filed a missing person report 2 hours ago. He exhales once, steadying his breath. He can't waste time explaining. He can't afford another percent just to say I'm buried alive. That would drain more than oxygen. It would drain hope. He thinks fast. He needs her focused on the case, not him. His thumbs move quickly. Vex Pharmaceutical. Recheck February 2019 wires. Authorization codes forged. He presses send. Battery, 5%. He watches the little icon shrink. Each number gone forever. He sets the phone on his chest again and forces his lungs to move slow. The air's heavier now. Or maybe his mind is tricking him. Either way, panic would eat minutes he doesn't have. The phone buzzes again. Dalton, what's going on? The files look normal. All transfers match Vex's digital signature. What am I missing? He closes his eyes, remembering those files, the dates, the logs. They looked perfect then too. That was the problem. Perfection is always suspicious. He whispers to himself in the dark. No data is ever that clean. He types one more line. Who accessed financial system week before audit? Battery 3%. He waits. Feels the seconds crawl. His breathing slows until he can hear only his heartbeat and the ticking inside his head. He wonders what time it is up there. Daylight or night? Is Thea at her desk? Is she drinking the same black coffee she always did when deep in a case? Thea's reply comes 12 minutes later. 7 people had access. Vex, his assistant, 3 junior accountants, the IT administrator, and you. His stomach turns cold. Him. He had access too. That means he could have been framed. Or worse. He could have missed the real culprit standing next to him. He whispers the name again in the dark. Mather. Quint Mather. The IT guy. Early 20s back then. Smart. Too smart. A new message flashes on the screen before he can type anything. Not from Thea. From the same anonymous sender. You're starting to understand. The other 4 figured it out around the 2-hour mark. Then they wasted their battery trying to prove it. You have 3% left. Make it count. Dalton stares at the words. His chest feels tight. They're watching him. Somehow, somewhere, someone is reading every message he sends. He could answer. He could curse. But that would cost another percent, and he won't give them that satisfaction. He types instead to Thea. Other forensic accountants. Wolf, Brenneman, Tamblyn, Veld. Check if they worked Vex case. Battery drops again. 2%. He rests the phone on his chest and tries to think past the fog in his brain. His throat's dry. The air's warmer, heavier. Each breath feels like pushing through water. He forces himself to stop thinking about air. Focus on time. He's been down here for almost 45 minutes. That leaves less than 3.5 hours of oxygen, if he stays calm. He presses his hands to his sides, feels the wooden walls pressing back. He's shrinking inside his own thoughts. Then the phone vibrates again. He snatches it up. The light stabs his eyes. Thea's message. All 4 worked the same case. Wolf traced the assets. Brenneman verified offshore accounts. Tamblyn confirmed signatures. Veld checked authorization codes. You testified at trial. Jesus, Dalton, what's happening? He stares at her words. His pulse jumps. Every name matches. 5 people. All involved in sending Landry Vex to prison. 4 already dead. 1 buried alive. He does the math again. Vex was released 8 months ago, after someone came forward with new evidence. Someone who claimed the signatures were forged. That must have been Mather. But then, who's burying the accountants? It could be Vex. Revenge. But Vex doesn't fit. He's old, broken, ruined by prison. He couldn't stage something this elaborate. Unless he hired someone. Unless he had help. Unless... The phone vibrates again, cutting his thoughts short. Thea's text, Vex moved to Montana. Runs a small pharmacy now. Keeps to himself. Everyone says he's changed. Dalton reads it twice. If Vex isn't doing this, then who is? The answer lands hard. The one person who fooled them all. Quint Mather. Dalton's pulse spikes. He almost laughs, not from humor but from disbelief. Mather framed Vex, ruined 5 lives, and now he's killing the people who caught him. Tying up every loose end. He checks the battery. 1%, 1 text left. 1 chance. He stares at the screen. His hands shake. What can he say that will actually matter? He types, find who came forward with new evidence. That person is the killer. Send. Battery hits 0. The light dies, darkness again. Total this time. Dalton drops the phone and screams. His fists pound the lid until his knuckles split. The sound is small, swallowed by dirt. He stops, panting hard. Every shout costs air he doesn't have. He presses his head back and stares into the black. Think. He needs to think. His mind replays everything he knows. The transfers. The access logs, the digital certificates. He can almost see the trail, the steps Mather must have taken. The forged keys, the backdated logs. Dalton had trusted the data like gospel, and Mather had written the scripture. Now Mather is burying his disciples one by one. He breathes shallow. His head spins. The edges of his vision pulse white. He tries counting to steady himself. 1, 2, 3, 4. But the numbers drift. The phone screen stays dark. No sound, no vibration. He's cut off. Alone. Somewhere above, Thea must be reading that last message. Maybe she's already calling the police. Tracing pings. Chasing leads. He has to believe that. Believing is the only oxygen left. He closes his eyes and whispers to no one. Come on, Thea. Hurry. He takes another breath, thinner than the last. The air feels sharp now. His chest fights for it. 2 hours and 50 minutes left. If the timer was even real. He presses his palm against the coffin wall again. It's warm now. Maybe from his own body heat. Maybe from the world closing in. He tilts his head back and listens. Nothing. No digging. No footsteps. Just the sound of his own heartbeat and the steady, unstoppable tick of time running out. The air feels heavier now. Like he's breathing through wet cloth. Dalton opens his eyes to nothing. The phone lies on his chest, lifeless, but suddenly the screen flickers back on. A new message. Same blocked number. You're starting to understand. The others reached this point too. Around the 2-hour mark. Then they wasted their battery trying to prove their innocence. You have 3% left. Make it count. Dalton's stomach tightens. Whoever's behind this knows his battery level. They're watching him in real time. The thought sends a cold wave up his spine. He wants to reply, but he won't waste another line on whoever's watching. He thinks instead, uses the anger to stay alert. 3% left. That's 3 more chances before the world goes completely silent. He decides one thing. Every message from now on will count. He unlocks the phone and types slowly, choosing each word like it costs his life. Because it does. Other forensic accountants, Wolf, Brenneman, Tamblin, Veld, check if they worked Vex case, send. Battery, 2%. He exhales long and slow, counting the breaths. The stale air burns his lungs. The coffin walls seem closer now, pressing against his shoulders. He stops himself from pushing back. Every movement wastes more air. The seconds crawl. He stares at the timer. The numbers slide down with mechanical calm. 2 hours and 10 minutes left. Nothing yet from Thea. The silence stretches so long it feels like punishment. He tries to imagine what she's doing. Maybe scrambling through old archives. Maybe pulling paper files from boxes. Maybe realizing how deep this goes. He wants to believe she's close. His pulse thunders in his ears. The pressure in his chest grows. He pictures himself running out of air before she finds anything. Before the truth comes out. Then the phone buzzes. He fumbles for it, blinking against the light. Thea's message fills the screen. All 4 worked the Vex case. Wolf traced the assets. Brenneman verified offshore accounts. Tamblin confirmed signatures. Veld cross-checked authorization codes. You testified at trial. Jesus, Dalton, what's happening? His throat goes dry. She confirmed it. Every name. Every victim tied to that same case. He's the 5th link in the chain. He stares at the screen until the words blur. The air feels thinner by the second. He fights the urge to breathe faster. Then, a thought cuts through the fog. Vex. He was released 8 months ago after someone came forward with new evidence. That someone was the missing piece. Dalton opens the keyboard again, his thumbs trembling. Vex released 8 months ago. Where is he now? Send battery. 1%. He sets the phone down again, feeling the vibration of his own pulse against the wood. The waiting feels longer this time. His head swims. His ears ring. When the buzz finally comes, he grabs the phone like it's oxygen. Moved to Montana, Thea writes, running a small pharmacy. Keeps low profile. Dalton blinks hard. Montana, pharmacy. The man spent 5 years in prison, lost his family, his reputation, his freedom. Why would he go through the trouble of burying accountants across states? He barely has money to live. It doesn't fit. He whispers to himself. Then who? The answer hits fast and brutal. The one person who knew every password, every server, every hidden directory. The one who built the system that fooled them all. Quint Mather. He can almost see the kid's grin. Young, confident, sitting in front of twin monitors during the audit. "Don't worry, Mr. Kress," he'd said. "I'll make sure everything matches." And he did. Too perfectly. Dalton's throat tightens. He pictures Mather 5 years older, hardened, obsessed, angry. When Vex got released, Mather must have realized his secret could surface. He'd need to erase everyone who could expose him. The 4 dead accountants. Now Dalton, but why the Coffin game? Why the timer, the messages? Revenge doesn't usually come with riddles, unless Mather wants them to understand before they die. To realize how wrong they were. The air grows hotter around Dalton's face. Sweat trickles into his eyes. He blinks it away, thinking through the pain. He looks at the phone. 1% left, 1 message. He already sent it. Told Thea to find who came forward with new evidence. If she does, she'll find Mather. The phone stays still. No more vibration. Dalton leans his head back. His neck burns. The oxygen is low now. He can feel it. His pulse pounds in his temples. Every breath feels like it has to fight its way in. He thinks of the others. Juniper Wolf lasting 2.5 hours. Cade Brenneman lasting 3. Risa and Osric both gone before 3 hours. All experts. All trying to reason their way out. Like him. They must have realized the truth too, right before the end. He closes his eyes. The edges of the world shimmer white. He tries to picture Thea reading his last message, eyes widening, connecting the name. Mather. He hopes she's calling the police, the FBI, anyone. The coffin creaks faintly above him. Or maybe that's in his head. He waits, straining for any sound. Nothing. He whispers to himself, voice dry and weak. Come on, Thea. Find him. His thoughts slip into memories. The day of the trial. Landry Vex in handcuffs glaring at him across the courtroom. Thea nodding to him from the back bench. The smell of paper, coffee, nervous sweat. The sound of the gavel. He remembers the moment the verdict came down. The jurors didn't even look up. They believed him. Everyone did. He'd sworn under oath that the evidence was unbreakable. Now that same evidence was the reason 5 people were dying one by one. Dalton laughs softly, the sound breaking halfway through. You buried us with our own certainty. The air grows thinner. His fingers tingle. His thoughts start to blur. He tries one last time to push the lid. His hands slip. He doesn't feel pain anymore. Just pressure. He wonders if Mather's watching him through a camera somewhere, enjoying the show. Or maybe he's close, maybe just above ground, listening. Dalton's vision sparkles. He shuts his eyes to keep the dizziness from taking over. He focuses on one thing. Thea's face. Her sharp eyes, her quick thinking. If anyone can pull him out of this, it's her. He clings to that thought. That maybe the reason Mather kept the timer running is because he wants to see the moment Dalton understands everything. Before he suffocates. Dalton breathes again, each inhale smaller, shallower. His chest trembles. His lips are dry. The air is almost gone. He whispers, barely a sound. Your move, Thea. And waits in the dark, for either rescue or the end of the countdown. The light goes out. No warning. Just gone. Dalton's phone screen fades to black, and for a split second, he thinks maybe his eyes have finally stopped working. But no, his hand still feels the cold glass. The faint hum of electronics vanishes. Battery 0, and with it, his lifeline. He stares into nothing, throat raw, lungs already begging for air thicker than what's left. He tells himself not to panic, but panic doesn't listen. It's instinct. It's older than logic. He starts to scream before he realizes what he's doing. Help! Somebody! The sound bounces off the wood and slaps back at him. Pointless. He pounds the coffin lid until his palms sting and split. He can smell blood, iron, and sweat mixing in the stale air. Then he stops, chest heaving, realizing how much oxygen he just wasted. He lets his arms drop and focuses on breathing again. Slow, shallow, quiet. He has to think. Thea has his last text. She knows what to look for. The person who came forward 8 months ago with new evidence. That's the key. If she checks the records, she'll see the name. Quint Mather. Dalton whispers the name into the dark, like it might summon reason. Mather, you did this. He pictures that young IT admin again. Always confident, always one step ahead. The kid who'd shown him how to extract server logs, how to read the digital signatures, how to trust the math, he'd said with a grin. Dalton had trusted him completely. Now that grin sits in the dark with him, like a ghost. He tilts his head back, feeling the tightness across his chest grow worse. The air's thinning fast. His thoughts scatter like dust. He tries to anchor them, one fact at a time. Mather worked inside the system. He had access to everything. He could have generated false authorization codes, altered timestamps, deleted traces. Then he'd framed Vex, let the experts confirm it, and disappeared. But why start killing now? Revenge? Paranoia? Control? Maybe all of them. Dalton blinks, and in that instant he sees it clearly. Mather's motive wasn't just revenge. It was obsession. The perfect crime only stays perfect if no one ever uncovers it. And Vex's release 8 months ago? That ruined the illusion. Someone had dug too close, found fragments of the truth. Mather needed to erase everyone who could connect the dots. The 5 experts who'd validated his lie. He's not just burying them. He's deleting evidence again. This time, human evidence. Dalton's heart hammers against his ribs. His brain screams for oxygen. He presses his palms against the coffin lid again, just to feel something solid. Think, he mutters. Don't fade out. Think. His memories blur together. Audit meetings, lines of code, financial charts. He remembers Vex's office, the sterile white light, the hum of servers down the hall. And Mather standing there, too casual for someone with that much power at his fingertips. He should have seen it. Thea must see it now. She has to. He imagines her on the phone with police, shouting the name, Quint Mather, slamming her desk, realizing what this all means. Maybe they're already tracing him. Maybe they're close, a sound. Dalton freezes. It's faint, but real. A thud, then another. From above, digging. He can't tell how far, but it's there. The vibration runs through the coffin wall. His pulse spikes. He yells, voice cracking. I'm here! Keep digging, please! The sound gets closer. The dirt shifts. His heart leaps. Then, silence. He waits. Nothing. He screams again until his throat burns. Hey, I'm here! Please. No answer. He tries listening harder, but now he can't even tell if the noise was real or just his mind trying to save itself. Minutes drag by. His chest feels like a vice. His head spins. The lightness in his fingertips creeps up his arms. He knows this feeling. Hypoxia, starving brain, fading consciousness. He's dying. But then from far above, shouting. Real this time. More than one voice. Orders being yelled. Shovels striking dirt. Dalton starts to cry. Shallow, broken sobs that steal more of his air. He presses both hands against the lid and pounds once, weakly, just to say I'm still here. The thuds above grow faster, louder. A beam of light slices through the wood. Fresh air floods in through the crack. Cool, sharp, clean. He gasps. His lungs seize and then open, desperate to catch it. Hands reach in. Someone pulls at his arm. Then another hand. Then more. He feels weight lift off his chest as the coffin lid splits. Thea's face appears above him, streaked with dirt. Eyes wet. 2 police officers beside her, digging with bare hands now. They drag him out onto the ground. The smell of earth, cold wind, and sky flooding into his senses all at once. He's shaking uncontrollably, his voice barely a whisper. How did you find me? Thea kneels beside him, catching her breath. You figured it out. Quint Mather. He came forward 8 months ago with the evidence that freed Vex. Claimed he found proof the signatures were forged. But he was the one who forged them. Dalton's head swims. The world tilts. He grips her wrist to stay grounded. Where is he? Her face hardens. Gone. Disappeared 6 weeks ago. Same time Juniper Wolf vanished. One of the officers steps up, grim-faced. We found 4 other burial sites. All empty now. He let them suffocate, then dug them up later. Moved the bodies somewhere else. Dalton tries to sit up, dizzy. Then why? Why here? The officer glances at the half-dug foundation pit around them. This site's scheduled for concrete pour tomorrow morning. 6 a.m. You'd have been under 30 tons of cement by sunrise. Never found. Dalton stares at the open hole, his open grave. His stomach turns. Thea squeezes his shoulder. You had 50 minutes left on the timer. He laughs. A hollow, trembling sound. 50 minutes. Just enough. She nods, eyes glassy. You saved yourself, Dalton. You saved all of us. He looks at the phone, dead and cracked, lying in the dirt beside the coffin. 7% battery, 240 minutes of air, just enough for the truth to reach her in time. He lies back on the cold ground, sucking in air like it's a miracle. Staring at the sky for the first time in hours, he whispers, voice hoarse but steady. Your move? Mather. And somewhere far from that construction site, the man who buried him is already planning his next move. Cold air stings his lungs. He's coughing and gasping at the same time, the body refusing to believe it's finally allowed to breathe. Thea's voice drifts in and out, distant but real. Police radios crackle. Someone shouts for an ambulance. Dalton can't tell if he's still underground or floating above it. When his vision clears, he sees sky, gray, open, endless. He's lying on damp soil beside the half-dug foundation pit. Floodlights from police trucks bathe the site in harsh yellow light. Thea crouches beside him, her hands shaking. You're safe. We've got you. He nods weakly, but the words barely register. His brain still feels locked inside that box. Every breath hurts, like air has turned solid. He stares at the open coffin nearby. The steel-reinforced lid split in half, dirt piled around it. His own blood stains the inside. An officer kneels on the other side of him. We need a medic here. Thea turns back to Dalton. You figured it out, she says, her voice breaking. Quint Mather. He came forward 8 months ago with evidence that freed Vex. Claimed he found proof the signatures were forged. But he was the one who forged them in the first place. The name hits him like a hammer. He was right. Mather, the kid who smiled too easily. The one who helped him set up audit access 5 years ago. Dalton tries to speak, but only a rasp comes out. Where is he? Thea's face tightens. Gone. Vanished 6 weeks ago. Same week, the first forensic accountant disappeared. Juniper Wolf, Dalton whispers. Thea nods. Her body was found in March. Buried alive. Same setup. Timer, phone, everything. A police sergeant steps closer, removing his hat. We found 4 other burial sites nearby. Empty now. He killed them, then moved the bodies. Dalton looks around the construction zone. Cement mixers, steel rods, heavy equipment. He realizes the truth before anyone says it. He picked this place for me, didn't he? The officer nods grimly. Concrete pour scheduled for 6 a.m. tomorrow. You'd have been sealed into the foundation. Never found. Dalton shuts his eyes. The thought alone makes his chest clench. He'd been minutes away from becoming part of the ground itself. The paramedics arrive, kneel beside him, start checking vitals. Oxygen mask, flashlight to the eyes, questions he barely hears. He keeps looking at Thea. How did you find me? He manages between shallow breaths. She takes a deep breath. Your last message. You said, find who came forward with new evidence. I checked court records. It was Mather. Once I had his name, we traced his company credentials. He's been working maintenance for a construction firm under a fake ID. The same firm building this site. She pauses, swallowing hard. I realized what he was doing. The burial sites matched company properties. I called it in. We got lucky. You still had a signal ping from the last text. Dalton stares at her. Lucky. That's what it came down to. One message. 1 battery percent, 1 line of thought that survived panic. He grips her wrist weakly. You saved my life. Thea shakes her head. You saved it. I just followed your trail. He tries to smile, but it doesn't reach his eyes. The adrenaline fades, leaving exhaustion and a deeper kind of ache. Guilt. He glances toward the open coffin again. The others didn't get this chance. Thea doesn't answer. She looks down at the dirt instead. A detective arrives. Tall gray suit under a reflective vest. Lieutenant Bexley Moss. He looks from Dalton to Thea. Mather's name came up in our old records. We've got a warrant out. He's the thread connecting all 5 victims. Dalton sits up with help from the paramedic. 5? The detective nods. You, Wolf, Brenneman, Tamblin, Veld, all confirmed dead or missing. You're the only one who made it out. Dalton swallows hard. He's not finished. There was one more person who testified. Not an accountant. Someone from law enforcement, Thea blinks. Sloane Harwick, Moss frowns. Who? FBI agent, Dalton says. She verified the offshore accounts. She worked with us during the Vex case. Moss exchanges a look with Thea. We'll get a team to check on her. Dalton grabs his arm. Don't check, find her. If Mather's following a pattern, she's next. The detective nods, already pulling his radio. Dispatch, I need to locate FBI agent Sloane Harwick, Seattle field office. Priority 1. Dalton leans back, dizzy. His heart won't slow down. He's escalating. He wants all of us gone. He's cleaning his tracks. Thea stands, looking out across the site. Yellow tape fluttering in the cold wind. Officers moving like shadows. He doesn't just want them gone, Dalton. He wants to rewrite history. To prove he was smarter than every one of you, Dalton's voice cracks. He almost did. The paramedics lift him onto a stretcher. The oxygen mask slips as he speaks again, muffled by plastic. Don't let him do it again. Thea leans close. We won't. As they load him into the ambulance, he stares out the open doors. The construction pit looks shallow now under the floodlights, but in his mind, it stretches forever downward. A grave for truth itself. Thea watches as the ambulance doors close. Her phone rings before she can exhale. Lieutenant Moss's voice booms over the line. We just confirmed. Harwick's not answering at the Seattle office. Her car was found abandoned outside a storage facility 2 days ago. Thea freezes. The color drains from her face. Dalton, half conscious on the stretcher, sees her expression through the rear window. The fear there says it all. Mather's still out there, still burying his truth, and the next coffin may already be in the ground. Thea doesn't sleep that night. Neither does Dalton. He sits propped in a hospital bed, oxygen tube in his nose, staring at the ceiling like it might collapse at any second. His phone lies beside him, screen shattered, battery dead, still crusted with dirt. Every time the door opens, he flinches. Every shadow feels too deep. When Thea enters, she looks exhausted. We've got a lead, she says. Lieutenant Moss traced Mather's last known address to Vancouver, Canada. He crossed the border with a fake passport under the name Quentin Miles. Dalton's pulse jumps. So he ran. For a while, Thea says. But he didn't get far. We think he's still close. His storage unit in Seattle was rented under that fake name. Guess who else has a connection to that facility? Dalton already knows. Sloane Harwick. Thea nods grimly. Her car was found there. Trunk open. Signs of a struggle. She's been missing 48 hours. Dalton tries to sit up, but the IV line tugs at his arm. Then she's still alive. He's repeating the pattern. He's giving her the same chance he gave us. Moss steps into the room behind Thea, phone pressed to his ear. We've got ground teams moving in now. K9 units, drones, everything. He lowers the phone. Dalton, if you're up for it, we could use your help. You know his logic better than anyone. Dalton swings his legs off the bed. I'm not sitting here while he buries someone else. Thea drives. The city blurs by under a dark gray sky, headlights smeared by drizzle. Dalton rides silent, replaying every detail he remembers about Mather. The smug calm, the cold efficiency. He knows Mather wouldn't improvise. Every burial site so far had a connection to the victims. It's part of his ritual. This storage site, Dalton says. It's owned by the same construction company Mather worked for, right? Thea nods. He used his employee credentials to rent lots under different names. It gave him private access to dig without raising flags. Dalton looks out the window. Then he's there. He's doing it again. They arrive to a sea of flashing lights. Patrol cars, news vans, K9 trucks. The ground is wet and soft from rain. Moss meets them at the gate, radio in hand. No sign of him yet, but we've locked down the area. Dalton stares at the wide, empty lot. Rows of metal storage units, half of them abandoned. The smell of wet dirt mixes with oil and cement. He feels it, same energy as before. Still, heavy, calculated. The dogs start barking near the back fence. Handlers shout. Moss waves them forward. Dalton and Thea follow as officers fan out with shovels and floodlights. It doesn't take long. One of the dogs stops, digging frantically at a patch of newly packed soil. The handler shouts. They start digging by hand. Rain pelts the ground as spades cut through mud. A dull thud echoes. Here, someone yells. We've got wood. Dalton's chest tightens. He kneels beside the hole, helping scoop dirt out with his bare hands until the lid appears. Another coffin, just like his. Timer phone on top, screen glowing faintly behind the mud. The numbers tick down. Jiu Taos, 4:33, 4.5 minutes. Get it open. Moss shouts. Crowbars slide under the edges. The lid snaps free inside Sloane Harwick, pale, soaked in sweat, but breathing. She gasps when the air hits her, eyes fluttering open. Paramedics rush in, lifting her out, wrapping blankets around her. Dalton steps back, shaking, barely able to stand. He stares at the timer phone in Moss's hand. Battery at 18%. She didn't waste it, Dalton says quietly. She just waited. Thea looks at him, confused. She knew, Dalton whispers. She figured out the pattern. The others died trying to prove their innocence. She stayed still, saved her air, waited for rescue. He looks up at the rain, breathing hard. Smart. Paramedics wheel Sloane toward an ambulance, her voice faint but steady. Did you get him? Did you get Mather? Moss shakes his head. Not yet. Dalton's fists clench. The man who built all this is still free, still somewhere out there, watching them. But this time, they're ahead of him. They've seen the pattern. They know his design. Dalton looks at the broken phone timer one more time. You're running out of time, Mather, he mutters. And as the sirens fade into the night, the rain keeps falling, washing the dirt off the coffin lid. but not off the memory of those still buried in Dalton's mind. 6 months later, the world looks normal again. But Dalton Kress knows better. He sits on the witness stand inside a packed courtroom. The air smells of paper, dust, and old wood. Cameras click somewhere in the back, muffled by the bailiff's warning glare. Dalton's palms sweat as he faces the man sitting at the defense table. Quint Mather. Older now, beard unkempt, wearing a county-issue jumpsuit. But his eyes still gleam. Cold, precise, calculating. The same eyes that once watched Dalton trust him. The same mind that buried 5 people alive just to prove he was smarter. The prosecutor's voice cuts through the silence. Mr. Kress, can you confirm the defendant's role in fabricating the financial data from Case 4719? Dalton's throat tightens, but his voice holds. Yes, he created the forged digital signatures, falsified timestamps, and inserted fake authorization codes. He made it look like Landry Vex stole $43 million when he hadn't. Mather smirks, just slightly, a twitch of satisfaction. He enjoys hearing it said out loud. Dalton forces himself to look away. He fooled every one of us, he continues, and when his secret started to unravel, he hunted us down. One by one, the courtroom is dead silent. The jury stares at Mather like he's a ghost in plain sight. Sloane Harwick sits a few rows back, pale but alive. Thea beside her. Their eyes meet Dalton's. It's the only reassurance he gets. When the trial ends, the jury doesn't deliberate long. Guilty. 5 counts of kidnapping. 4 counts of murder. 1 count of attempted murder. Life without parole. As the judge reads the sentence, Mather just smiles faintly. No remorse, no reaction. The officers move in, cuff him, and lead him away. Dalton exhales for the first time in months. But the victory doesn't feel like justice. It feels like an autopsy, dissecting everything that went wrong. Landry Vex is there too, sitting quietly in the back row. The man Dalton once helped send to prison for 5 wasted years. When court adjourns, Vex stands, approaches him in the hallway. Thea stays close, just in case. Vex's voice is calm, too calm. You know, I don't blame you, he says. You testified to what the evidence showed. Mather framed us both. Dalton nods, not trusting himself to answer. Vex looks down at his hands. Those 5 years? My wife left. My kids won't talk to me. My company's gone. But you were just doing your job. Dalton finally speaks, voice low. That doesn't make it easier. Vex gives a slow nod, then walks away. Dalton watches him go, the sound of his footsteps echoing through the marble hall. Justice came late and it didn't fix anything. It never does. Weeks later, Dalton stands in front of a classroom. Chalk dust hangs in the air. A slide glows behind him. Digital evidence integrity and financial forensics. 20 students stare back, notebooks open. Young, confident, eager. He remembers being that certain once. He clicks to the next slide. When you work with digital records, he says, you'll think the data can't lie. But it can. Signatures can be forged. Timestamps can be rewritten. Even airtight systems can be bent by the right hands. He pauses, scanning their faces. And when you're wrong, people pay the price. The students write furiously, not realizing this isn't theory. It's confession. Dalton glances at his phone on the desk. The screen reads 94% battery. He keeps it above 80 now, always. A habit he can't shake. Sometimes at night, he still wakes gasping, convinced he's back in that coffin. He keeps a flashlight on the nightstand, just to prove he isn't. Thea checks in now and then. So does Sloane. They've all changed. None of them talk about the trial. None of them mention the smell of dirt, the ticking timer, or the faces of the 4 who didn't make it. Juniper Wolfe, Cade Brenneman, Risa Tamblin. Osric Veld Dalton still sees them when he closes his eyes. He ends class early that day. The students pack up, chatting about exams and deadlines, their voices light and unburdened. Dalton watches them go with a mix of envy and dread. When the room empties, he picks up his phone again. 94%. He exhales slowly. Good enough. For now. He slips it into his pocket, turns off the lights, and walks out, leaving the faint hum of the projector behind. The same way he once left a courtroom, a coffin, and a version of himself that will never quite breathe the same again.